What's up, you guys? Teddy Striker here, and Shavkat Rakhmonov defeated Ian Machado Gary at UFC 310. And after this fight, there's a lot of talk about how Shavkat maybe isn't as good as a lot of people thought he was. But I still think that he's very good, and that was a very impressive win over a very talented fighter in Ian Gary. But in this video, I want to talk about who I think has the best chance of beating Shavkat Rakhmonov in the welterweight division. I'm going to rank these guys by who I think has the lowest to who I think will most definitely beat him. But with all that being said, let's get right into it. And the person who I think has the lowest chance of beating him is Carlos Prates. By the way, the fighters that I'm going to be talking about are Carlos Prates, Kamaru Usman, Della Maddalena, Belal Muhammad, and Leon Edwards. But Carlos Prates, I think that he is on this list because he definitely is a better striker than Shavkat Rakhmonov. I think that him and JDM are the best strikers in the welterweight division. And I think that the Shavkat and Ian Gary fight just proved that. But I think that Carlos Prates, he could definitely beat Shavkat if he's able to defend the grappling. But the thing is, we don't know about his grappling. I think that he did well against Neil Magny to defend the grappling attempts. But I think that we need to test him out a little bit more. We know he's dangerous on the feet. So I like to see Carlos Prates go up against a guy like Gilbert Burns, maybe a Colby Covington if he loses to Joaquin Buckley this Saturday, or maybe even a Sean Brady, as time goes on. But obviously on the feet, he's very dangerous. I think that we could also see him versus Jeff Neal just to see how good of a striker he really is, because he has a lot of Muay Thai experience. He's finishing guys very fast. And it'd be interesting to see how he does against someone who gave a lot of trouble to Shavkat Rakhmonov. But I'd say first, let's put him in there against some grapplers, because right now I think that Shavkat Rakhmonov would hold him up against the fence, maybe get some takedowns and get himself a submission or a decision victory. But someone who has a better chance of beating Shavkat than Carlos Prates is Kamaru Usman. And I think that Usman has a better chance of beating Shavkat because he's got excellent takedown defense. He was number one in terms of who has the highest takedown defense in the UFC. At one point, it was like a perfect 100%. And Kamaru Usman also, he has an excellent jab. He's got a powerful right hand that he's able to set up. He's also got a good front kick to the body, but outside of that, he doesn't really kick too much. But it seems like he's working on his Muay Thai. He's training a lot with Cosmo Alexander, and he was kicking quite a bit against Khamzat Chimaev. But the problem with Kamaru Usman and why I have him so low on this list is because he's simply not in his prime anymore. And I don't know where his confidence is at, because against Khamzat Chimaev and Leon Edwards in the third fight after the head kick KO, it seems like Usman was like a bit tentative and gun-shy. He wasn't really letting his hands go as much. He wasn't really trusting his setups. He had a really good jab against Leon Edwards in the third fight, but he just wasn't really, letting those hands go. He was just really worried about what Leon Edwards was doing. Same with Khamzat. He was defending the grappling. He did get taken down in round one quite a bit. And then in round two, he was doing a lot better because he was starting to trust himself a lot more. But Khamzat was able to secure some takedowns. And I think that Shavkat Rakhmonov is going to be dangerous in the clinch against Kamaru Usman, who typically likes to go there, hold guys up against the fence, work some takedowns from there. I think that Shavkat is going to be dangerous in the clinch. And on the feet, I don't think that Kamaru Usman has enough weapons to beat Shavkat with. I think that if he developed more of a hook, more body shots, more combinations, because he's got a great one too, but his other punches, like his hooks, are really wide, and I think that Shavkat's going to maybe to see them coming. And also his kicking defense isn't the best. Like we saw, Leon Edwards was chewing up those legs with leg kicks. Those body shots were landing too on Kamaru Usman, and his takedowns aren't quite as good as they once were. So I feel like Shavkat would win. I don't know if he'll finish Usman because Usman is still very tough, but I think that Shavkat would beat him by decision. And then the fighter who I think has a better chance of beating Shavkat than Usman is Leon Edwards. I think that Leon Edwards is a very good striker. I think he's a better striker than Ian Gary. But the problem with Leon Edwards is he doesn't have a lot of activity, and also he doesn't have anything to stop his opponents from just coming from kicking range to boxing range. He doesn't have anything to stop them from, crossing that distance or like stop them in their tracks. Like Belal Muhammad was able to pressure him constantly, get in his face. I mean, it was like if someone's trying to rob you and like the door is unlocked. Leon Edwards wasn't having any like security measures or anything, but I think that Shavkat is going to be able to walk him down, push him back against the fence. Leon does have some dangerous body kicks, and I think that he could actually set up a clean head kick and take Shavkat's head off, because sometimes when Shavkat gets like kicked to the body or kicked to the leg, he does like kind of lower his hands, and Leon Edwards has one of the best left head kicks in MMA, and also Jeff Neal was able to nearly decapitate Shavkat with a left head kick from the southpaw stance. And Shavkat did struggle with Ian Gary, but I think that DC said that Shavkat was injured. He had like a knee injury going into this fight. And also, Ian Gary's grappling is getting a lot better. He has made a lot of improvements. I mean, he almost submitted Michael Venom Page. He almost submitted Shavkat Rakhmonov. And I think that his grappling could even be on par, like at the same level of a guy like Leon Edwards. Maybe even it could potentially be better, but I think that with Leon, I think Shavkat is going to have to go for more double leg and single leg takedowns like the regular way, going down the knees and, shooting a takedown like that. Because again, seeing Gary, the first time he did that, he did get the takedown, and it was a really nice shot. And Kamaru Usman and Belal Muhammad had a lot of success taking down Leon Edwards that way. In the clinch, Leon Edwards is going to be good, but I think that Leon is going to be looking to grapple back with Shavkat, and that's going to lead to exchanges where Shavkat ends up in a more dominant position. I think that Shavkat is going to get a submission over Leon. But moving on to the guy who I think has an even better chance of beating Shavkat, and that's going to be the current champion, Belal Muhammad. Now, I'm not putting him as the guy who I think has the best chance of beating Shavkat, because I do think that Shavkat will beat Belal Muhammad. But Belal is a bigger threat to Shavkat than Leon, because Belal does have really good fight IQ. He was, doing a lot of things to neutralize Gilbert Burns' best punches, like using that left head kick a lot to keep Gilbert Burns' right hand just by his face. He was able to completely shut down Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's game. He was able to shut down Vicente Luque, Sean Brady. I mean, he's gone through a lot of different styles in the welterweight division, and he's done very well against him. And I think against Shavkat, he is going to be able to bring that same sort of fight IQ, study him quite a bit, find his weaknesses, and look to exploit it. And also, his grappling is a threat to Shavkat. He's arguably the best wrestler currently in the welterweight division. He's working with Khabib and Islam Makhachev, the best fighter in the world. And it shows, like, this guy has excellent grappling. He has a variety of takedowns. And I think that is going to have to garner Shavkat's respect. But the reason why I think that Shavkat is going to beat him is because Leon Edwards was able to reverse Belal Muhammad quite a bit. And I think that Shavkat might have better grappling than Leon Edwards. And Shavkat is a lot more dangerous when it comes to just submissions on the ground. He's able to submit you from a lot of places, and Leon Edwards was able to take the back of Belal Muhammad. He had control over his back for an extended period of time. And also on the feet, which I think that this fight is going to be contested in. Belal Muhammad's reaction to punches is very awkward, and I feel like he's very open to those long punches from Shavkat Rakhmonov, just those 1-2s. And Shavkat does have a lot of power in his hands. And also, he's got those dangerous spinning wheel kicks that he nearly KO'd Ian Gary with. He was just like slightly out of range. And if he's able to get kicks that are almost taking Ian Gary's head off, who's like 6'3", I'm pretty sure he can kick Belal Muhammad's face off, who's like maybe 5'10" or 5'9". And also the knees to the clinch and the body from Shavkat are going to be there. I think that it's going to serve him wonders, because Belal likes to push that pace. He likes to get in his opponent's face, but those knees to the body on smaller opponents are very effective for Shavkat Rakhmonov, who's got a longer frame, who's able to really dig those knees into his opponent's body. But Belal definitely has a high chance of beating Shavkat Rakhmonov, but not as high as Della Maddalena. I know this might seem a bit unexpected, but I think that in order to beat a guy like Shavkat, you gotta have stopping power, you gotta have clean boxing, you gotta have good takedown defense. And Jeff Neal showed part of that, but the problem with Jeff Neal is that he wasn't as active with his hands, and he was headhunting a lot on Shavkat Rakhmonov. He was just like throwing punches to the head, and he was giving up too much ground against Shavkat Rakhmonov, which are things that Jack Della Maddalena is not going to do. First of all, Jack Della Maddalena is going to stand his ground. He's not going to be pushed back against the fence. He's going to be active with his punches, and he's going to be unleashing combinations on Shavkat. But the difference between him and Jeff Neal is he's going to be mixing up combinations to the head and to the body. And Shavkat loves to just pull his head back and move backwards. He did this a lot against Jeff Neal, but when you mix in body shots, that's going to take that away, and that body is going to be wide open. Look how Shavkat just pulls his head back and leaves his body wide open, and I think that JDM could hit him with some massive body shots as he's wide open. And Jeff Neal was mainly throwing 1-2s or maybe 2-3s. He wasn't really mixing up his combinations too much, but I think JDM will. He's also a switch hitter, so he can hit him from both sides. And from the grappling aspect, I think that JDM is going to be able to hit Shavkat as Shavkat is trying to make his way into the clinch. Jeff Neal was able to tag him a couple times as Shavkat was just walking towards the clinch. Ian Gary didn't really do this much. He just kind of let Shavkat get into the clinch. But JDM will be aggressive, and he will throw punches as Shavkat is entering that clinch position. And also, JDM has good takedown defense, but if Shavkat does get him to the ground, JDM can get his way back up to the feet. He's shown this in several fights, like the Gilbert Burns fight and some of his other fights. He was getting taken down, but he was able to get back to his feet. And also, he was making some silly mistakes, like trying to go for guillotines instead of trying to get back up to his feet. But I think that he has learned from that, and he's not going to be doing that against Shavkat Rakhmonov. But on the feet, he's also a pretty good counterpuncher. I think that he can punish Shavkat for being reckless on the feet, not really setting up his punches. And he was like throwing naked right hands on Ian Gary, and he was landing them. He was throwing the same naked right hands on Stephen Thompson, but he was getting counterpunched. And I think that JDM is also going to counter Shavkat Rakhmonov for throwing those shots with no setups. But I think that JDM can get punished by Shavkat for staying in the pocket for too long. Sometimes he throws his combinations, but he is not defensively responsible, or he'll like land combinations and then he'll stay in range a little bit too long, which leaves the window open to a counter punch by a guy like Shavkat. So he's gonna have to be careful. But it seems like he has been working on that. He wasn't doing that as much against Kevin Holland and Gilbert Burns, but against Hafez, he was doing that a lot. Just, leaving himself wide open in the pocket, and that's going to be very dangerous if he does it against Shavkat, but I don't think that he will. I think that he'll keep it on the feet, and then he'll be able to get a stoppage victory over Shavkat Rakhmonov. Let me know who you think has the best chance of beating Shavkat Rakhmonov. Thank you guys for watching, and God bless.